Calculating finance charges is an optional process within CenterPoint. This process of calculating finance charges allows you to add finance charges to past due customer balances. If a customer's balance is not paid when it's due, the finance charge information is used to calculate their finance charge amount, and then it's added to their balance. This is done by running a separate process. The first step to setting up finance charges is to create your finance charge rules. That can be done underneath Setup, Sales, and Finance Charges. You can see here that I have a couple of different finance charge rules. You can have different rules for different customers. I'm going to highlight one of my existing rules here, and I'm going to click the Edit button. But normally to create new finance charges, you would have clicked the New button, and it would have taken you to a blank screen that matches the screen that I'm on. The first field is an optional abbreviation. The abbreviation is really just there as an optional way of bringing up the finance charge, but it also allows you to display the finance charge name in an abbreviated manner on reports. Then you have the name of the finance charge. If you only have one finance charge, you might as well just go ahead and call your finance charge. We've got two rules. We've got one called finance charge, one finance charge nonprofit. After you go ahead and enter in the name, you're going to click on the lookup here and select a revenue account to go ahead and post that finance charge to. It actually can be posted to any account. You see here you're not restricted to assigning this just to revenue accounts, but typically it would be a revenue account of some sort. Then you can go ahead and enter in what the annual percentage rate for your finance charges are. And if you have a minimum amount that you charge, we're going to enter it into the box here. How the minimum amount works is, let's say that a particular customer's finance charges only came to $4.10 in a particular period. Well, we're going to bump that up automatically to the minimum charge of $5. So instead of getting charged the $4.10, they're going to get charged the $5. If you have a grace period where you allow this period for before the finance charges are actually calculated for them to pay their invoices, you're going to go ahead and enter in the grace period into the box here. So we have a 5-day grace period here. And then the last charge is to go ahead and set up, or the last item is to go ahead and tell the system whether you're compounding finance charges on previously calculated finance charges. Now, this is something where there may be a law that varies on a state-by-state basis as to whether or not this is allowed. So be sure to check with your accountant or the authority in your state to find out whether or not that is allowed. So by going ahead and checking this, if they have not paid finance charges by their due date, we'll go ahead and calculate new finance charges on those previously calculated finance charges. When you're done clicking, entering in your setup of your finance charge rule, you'll go ahead and click Save. You can see here that I have a second finance charge rule, and really my two finance charge rules are the same, except for nonprofits, we only charge 10%. So we're going to assign the finance charge rule to the individual customer. And the place that we're going to do that is going to be underneath Setup and Customers. I'm going to highlight one of my customers here, Red Wing Bike Club, and I'm going to go in and edit them. And on the Accounting tab is where you'll find the box for the finance charge. So down here, I can go ahead and select the finance charge rule that I want to apply to this customer and go ahead and click Save. Well, if I've already got a bunch of existing customers, that would take a long time to go in and edit each customer and assign that finance charge rule to them. So we do have a mass update button at the bottom of the customer setup screen, which would allow us to assign the finance charge rule to multiple customers at one time. I can click Next, and then I can say I want to update accounting information and I want to update the finance charge rule. and I want to take and assign the finance charge rule called finance charge to several different customers. And I could right now it's highlighted on all customers. So if I click next, it'll update all customer records with that same finance charge rule. But if I just want to update particular customers, I could go ahead and highlight those particular customers and then go ahead and click next. And it's going to tell us what the existing finance charge is, which was blank, and then it's going to tell us what it's going to assign to those customer records in the new finance charge field. So now when I click next and I accept that, and I click finish, if I were to go in and edit one of those customers that we just did that mass update for, you'll see that it went ahead and it assigned the finance charge to that customer. Now we're ready to go ahead and calculate our finance charges on any invoices that have already been entered in. So you're going to probably do this once a month when you're ready to send out your billing statements. Prior to sending out those billing statements, you'll likely go ahead and calculate your finance charges. So we're going to do that by going to processes and sales, and then going ahead and going to calculate finance charges. There's a button down at the bottom of the screen called Modify Start Date. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that, and you'll probably enter a date in here once, and that is the beginning period in which you're going to calculate finance charges. So it won't calculate finance charges on anything older than this particular period. Okay, this date can be set once, and if a company has posted transactions created from this finance charge entry screen, then the finance charge date may not be changed. Okay, so if you have previous finance charges, the date can't be changed on them. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and click OK. Then we're going to select our company, and if you only have one company, it should already be in the box there. If not, you can click on the lookup and select which company. Then we're going to enter in our past due date. So I'm getting ready to send out my my June billing statements, or my June billing statements. And so I want to go ahead and calculate finance charges on any invoices that weren't paid that had a due date of 5/31 or older or earlier. And then I'm going to go ahead and put in the date of the finance charge. So it's going to create the finance charge transaction as of this finance charge date. Then it asks me for the sequence number for my finance charges. Now by default, when you set up CenterPoint, this is just a numeric number that keeps incrementing. You'll see here that I've edited the format of my sequence. I did that by right-clicking and going to edit. The previous sequence, if I click on the format help here, you'll see here that if I have number signs in the field, it means that that's an advancing number that's going to keep incrementing. I wanted mine to just say finance charge on it, and I wanted it to have the month and the year. So I changed my format to say fin charge and then the month and the year, so that when I do create these finance charges, they're going to have a transaction number that looks like this on them. Then I want to move over all of the customers that I want to calculate finance charges for. So you can just calculate particular customers. And I'm going to click New to create those new finance charges. And then I'm going to click the Create button. And it's going to go out and it's going to calculate the finance charges for these customers. Now you can override a finance charge amount. So let's say that we're only going to charge them $50. I could put in the $50 there and it'll mark it as overwritten. Okay, if I take the check mark out, it goes back and it assumes you want to use the calculated amount. So it changes it back to the $91.50. Okay, so you could edit the amount or accept the amount as it is by going ahead and clicking the post button, which will actually create the transactions to post that amount. So I went ahead and clicked post, and now I can close out of that screen. There are times where you might need to delete out a previously posted finance charge, and we can do that one of two ways. The first way is to go ahead and do that for one finance charge at a time. And that's usually done using our transaction search screen. So I'm going to go to Reporting Tools and Transaction Search. I'm going to set my date range for the transaction search, and I'm going to say that the entry screen for the transactions that I'm looking for is the Calculate Finance Charge entry screen. And then I'm going to go ahead and click Search, and you'll see that those two transactions that got created when I calculated the finance charges are right here. So I want to delete out this one for Red Wing Bike Club, and I could do that by double clicking on the transaction and simply selecting the delete button. Okay, I'm not going to delete it right now because I want to show you how to delete out multiple finance charges, and I'll only have one finance charge left if I delete this one out. But this is how you would go about deleting out a single finance charge. Okay, if I wanted to reverse either all of the finance charges that were calculated or finance charges for multiple customers at one time, I could do that by going back to the original transaction screen that we calculated the finance charges on, and that's underneath Processes and Sales and Calculate Finance Charges. Okay, I could go ahead and set the same dates. So the date of 5/31 and the due date or the finance charge date of 6/6 up here at the top. And then I'm going to select all of the customers that I had previously calculated those finance charges for. And I'm going to click Recalculate. And it's going to bring up those previously calculated finance charges. And I can go ahead and remove them. Okay. Then if I'm ready to recalculate those charges in the future, I'm just going to go back to my original process to calculate them by clicking the new button and clicking create and then posting them again. Okay, so if you needed to make a change to an invoice or something before you recalculated those finance charges again, you can, but to calculate them again, you're just going to go through the original process that we went through to calculate those finance charges. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and post those. Okay, once the finance charges have been added, when you run a billing statement for that customer, you'll see those finance charges on the billing statement. So just to show you that, I'm going to go to Processes and Sales, and we'll go ahead and we'll bring up a billing statement. And over here, I'm just going to run a billing statement for Red Wing Club, which is one of the customers that I had an invoice and a finance charge for. So I'm going to click Preview on that. And you'll see here on the June billing statement then for this particular customer, Red Wing Bike Club, we've added that finance charge and increased their balance.